Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back. Today's episode is called What We're Not Doing. And this episode was inspired by a little trend that is happening on TikTok. If you don't follow me there, this is your sign to follow me. I am Kara, the bridal coach. So yeah, there is a whole thing going around called What I'm Not Doing at My Wedding with No Explanation. So they'll just sort of list like all the things they are not doing. Like, I'm not having a second dress. I'm not having a traditional rehearsal dinner. I'm not having a sparkler exit. I'm not having a huge cake. Like just all these different things that people, I think, feel like they're supposed to be doing. And they're just kind of declaring and owning the fact that they're not doing these things. And I just kind of love this idea because one of the most stressful parts about wedding planning, I'm sure you've noticed by now, is just the marketing and the sort of standards around what you're supposed to do, what people are doing now. And not only like back in the day, it used to be like the bridal magazines. Now it is social media, obviously, which comes at you like so much faster and more furiously than any other sort of media has in the past. And so it can really, really convince you pretty quickly how your wedding should be and all the ways, all the things you must do and traditions you have to incorporate and things you must buy. Mostly, think about it. It's mostly marketing things for you to buy. So I think it's a very powerful exercise to decide what you're not doing, especially if you're in a place where you're having trouble exactly pinpointing what you do want to do. Maybe start with what you're not going to do. So if you just know from whatever sort of perspective you know this from, whether it's from attending weddings or just seeing weddings or just knowing your personality or knowing your family or knowing your budget or knowing whatever it is that you know and can feel good about coming from that place and just sort of declaring to yourself, like, here's what we're not doing. And why is it important sometimes to declare what we're not doing? It can just be very empowering to claim it for yourself so that it doesn't just kind of creep into your idea of like, oh, well, we didn't have that, or I didn't get to do that, right? Like it can be, there's just so much and so many opinions about weddings and what they should include and shouldn't have. And I don't want you to walk away from your experience and then second guess yourself because you're like, maybe I should have done this. And then you'll have that whole regret lingering thing that goes on and on. And I just think that powerfully claiming like, I'm not doing that is a great way to sort of prevent it from coming back up in the future to like haunt you and make you second guess yourself. So that's the power in claiming. Like mostly we wouldn't really need to do that. Like, well, I'm not getting this in my life. Like I'm not buying that couch or I'm not like, we don't often need to do it. But I think when weddings are so intense because it's just like you get one at bat for the most part. And it's just like so much focus on this one day and all of the decisions you make on this one day. That's why it gets so sort of, it can hijack you emotionally and just get you so caught up and get you spinning in that cycle of indecision and overwhelm. Also feeling like, oh, there's just one more trend around the pike and you got to jump on this and you got to do this because you got to look like you know what's up and you're a part of it. That whole thing, to stop being swept down that river is to just start declaring like, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that and I'm not doing that. It's really sort of helping you from the outside in chip away at all of the noise and all of the fluff and all of the extraneous things that are just a distraction to your actual goal, your actual vision, your real values, what this means to you, what you want this day to be about. Again, if you can't go from inside out because you're just not quite clear enough, go from outside in by just figuring out all the things that you don't want and really claiming them and really owning them and being unapologetic and then really sticking to it. Because here's the thing I know about the wedding industry, they can really make you think you want, need, can't live without lots and lots of things. So, where you do have a really strong sense of no, please do yourself a favor and claim that and use that as constraint, right? Once you realize constraint is such a big part of creativity and such a essential key ingredient for making your vision come to life, let those no's be a part of what constrains you. So, like your finances can be a constraint, your family can constrain you in certain ways, like your timing can constrain you in other ways. Let these no's be another just constraint. And all of that constraint is like the guardrails. These are the lines that we like have on the paper that we can color within. Like these are really helpful, useful parts of what are going to guide us on our path to our wedding day. So I really want you to think about all the things that you don't want to have and how powerful and how strong it can be to declare those no's and to own those no's. Because I often think about this quote from Abraham Hicks, super, I don't know, spiritual teacher, very into like the manifesting thing from, I mean, she goes way, way back to like 70s and 80s. I used to listen to her all the time. And she would always say, you can't get it wrong and you'll never get it done. And that's just sort of like an approach to life. Like you're going to keep making decisions and you're going to keep going. And like, there's no end point. There's no like, ta-da, you're finished. Like it's an ongoing process of creativity and life and new experiences. And this idea of like being like, you can't get it wrong. And you also can never get it done. And it's funny because so many of us, especially I think women, especially in their bridal moment, are trying so hard to get it right and get it done. And so if you just kind of lean into this idea that like you can't get it wrong and also you'll never have it done. So just this idea that like there's this concept of this perfect wedding, but like no, you're not going to have that because there's always some other thing you could have done in 1 year. You'll find it out or last month or with a little more money. Like you could always trick yourself into thinking that like it could have been something else, or you're going to convince yourself you made a wrong decision. But I love coming back to that anchor of like, you can't get it wrong and you'll never get it done. So there's always more you could be doing, right? There's always more, especially in our culture, there's always more. But that's why this idea of saying no and owning that no is so great. It's so helpful because again, it just helps us. This idea that like it's never done, there could always be more decisions. Like you're just adding to your sort of calm and confidence by just realizing like you could go on and on and on with this, but we're not going to do that because at some point this will be like this day will come and this day will go. And then there will be other parts of your life, right, that you get to construct and have the same sense of meaning and beauty and family and friends. You can always redo those aspects of it. That in that way, you'll never be done with the themes and the feeling and the value of your wedding and recommitting to your partner and expressing your love, right? There's so many things that you'll get to carry out. And just the idea of never getting it wrong, I think is just really soothing when you are in this moment of making decisions. So I don't know why I just brought those two different ideas together, but I did. And we are sticking with it because sometimes we just roll with it here on the Whispers to a Bride podcast. So yeah, I really just want to be helpful to you in this moment. And I really suggest that you make your list of like, what are we not doing? What did we just decide we are not doing? Because we cannot get it wrong and we can never really get it done. So in order to move forward with a little more peace and clarity, claim those no's unapologetically and let them be what helps you and guides you and provides you with a foundation to figure out what you do want to do and how you do want to execute this beautiful day. So I'm a little crazy today, but I hope this was helpful. And I really would love to chat with you one-on-one and really help you get clear on what matters to you about your wedding day, what matters to you about your marriage, what's going on in your closest relationships, So find me on TikTok, Instagram, Kara the Bridal Coach, and reach out to me and make your appointment today at karamorning.com. And again, we are keeping this situation ad-free because we want to stay brief and stay easy. So the best and most wonderful thing you can do for me is leave me a review and pass this on to a friend. I love you. I love you. I love you. Wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.